Hello everyone, my name is Ellie and I am a Conservation Associate with the Coastal and Heartland National Estuary Partnership, or CHNEP for short. This presentation is about harmful algal blooms in Southwest Florida and what you and your family can do to help mitigate this environmental issue. But first, I'm going to give a little background information on our organization. CHNEP was accepted into the National Estuary Program in 1995 as one of only 28 congressionally designated estuaries of national significance in the United States. Estuaries are where freshwater from rivers mixed with saltwater from the sea. We receive special funding and support from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency under the Clean Water Act to protect and restore water resources in the CHNEP area. The CHNEP area encompasses 5,416 square miles, over 3 million acres, containing 8 watersheds. A watershed is a land area that channels rainfall and snowmelt to creeks, streams, and rivers, and eventually to outflow points such as reservoirs, bays, and the ocean. These 8 watersheds include 7 estuaries and 4 rivers. The CHNEP area reaches inland and coastal communities of 10 counties and 25 cities. We work with many partners to reach our restoration goals. So what we do is we implement the Comprehensive Conservation and Management Plan. This has 4 pillars, including water quality improvement, hydrological restoration, fish, wildlife, and habitat protection, and public engagement. You can find the full CCMP available online at chnep.org/ourplan. So let's talk about algae. Algae are naturally occurring, simple aquatic organisms that can range from microscopic unicellular macroalgae, or phytoplankton, to large seaweeds, which are multicellular macroalgae. Some of the types that bloom here in Florida, we have the blue-green algae, which is a microalgae, and the Florida red tide, which is also a microalgae. For macroalgae, we commonly see brown seaweed or sargassum and red seaweed. Algae grow through photosynthesis. This means that they convert sunlight, carbon dioxide, and a few nutrients, including nitrogen and phosphorus, into biomass. Algae is found almost everywhere on the planet and plays an important role in many ecosystems, including providing the foundation for the aquatic food chain supporting all fisheries in the oceans and inland waters, as well as producing about 70% of air we breathe by releasing oxygen into the atmosphere. So what is a harmful algal bloom? They occur when algae grows out of control, causing an imbalance in the ecosystem and produce toxic or harmful effects on other organisms. The duration of a bloom depends on physical and biological conditions that influence its growth and persistence, but typically lasts about a couple weeks to even up to a year. So things that influence the duration of the bloom include favorable wind and water currents, the aftermath of natural phenomena like sluggish water circulation, unusually high water temperatures, and extreme weather events like hurricanes, floods, and drought. Also, the overfeeding of nutrients, or eutrophication. Nutrients usually occur in small concentrations that favor healthy amounts and type of plants and algae. Eutrophication occurs when the environment becomes overly enriched with nutrients, increasing the amount of plant and algae growth to estuaries and coastal waters. Excessive nutrients lead to algal blooms in low oxygen or hypoxic waters that can kill fish and seagrass and reduce essential fish habitats. This occurs through a nutrient load-up, when excessive nutrients from fertilizers are flushed into the waterways. This causes plants to flourish, an algae bloom grows and outcompetes all the other plants and phytoplanktons and depletes the oxygen. The dead plants are then broken down by bacteria, and the oxygen levels reach a point where no life is possible. Fish and other organisms die off. So where does this excess nutrients come from? Nutrient pollution can be human-generated sources of nitrogen and phosphorus. These sources include agricultural and industrial mining runoff, stormwater runoff, wastewater discharges, and failing septic tanks. Some negative effects of harmful algal blooms is that they produce toxins that can make people sick, including respiratory issues and skin rash. They kill fish, shellfish, marine mammals, birds, and make shellfish unsafe to eat, causing food poisoning. They create the low oxygen dead zones that clog gills of fish and invertebrates, some other corals, and other submerged aquatic vegetation. They also hurt local economies through lost commerce, recreation, and tourism. So one of the most common types of harmful algal blooms in southwest Florida is the red tide. We had a huge bloom in 2018 that lasted a year. This is caused by the unicellular dinoflagellate Carenia brevis. It occurs in marine and brackish waters. They typically bloom late summer to early fall. They are red, orange, brown, and rust color. Florida red tide develops 10 to 40 miles offshore, away from human-contributed nutrient sources. However, once red tides are transported to shore through currents and wind, then they are capable of using human-contributed nutrients for their growth. They produce neurotoxins called brevetoxins, which is what makes us sick. This type of bloom occurred in Florida long before human settlement, and severe red tides were observed in the mid-1900s before the state's coastlines were heavily developed. Another common type of harmful algal bloom is the blue-green algae. This green slime is actually cyanobacteria, a bacteria that functions like a plant. It is found in any type of water, but most commonly in fresh and brackish waters. Typically blooms in summer and early fall. Microcystis, a common genus of cyanobacteria, is what produces the neurotoxins that make us sick. In 2016, there was a bloom that devastated the environment and businesses along Florida's Treasure and Gulf coasts. So what should you do if there's a harmful algal bloom? Look for and heed warning signs. If you don't see a sign, you can report it. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection has a list of algal bloom contacts on their website. Do not drink, swim, boat, or fish in the water, and keep children and pets away. Do not consume shellfish. And if you are bothered by the toxins, limit outdoor activities, keep windows closed, and run your AC. So what can you do to help prevent harmful algal blooms? Reduce nutrient pollution. You can do this through water quality improvement, restoring hydrological flow, restoring aquatic and natural habitat, and public engagement. The Cheneth vision for water quality improvement states that water meet their designated human uses for drinking, shellfish harvesting, or swimming and fishing while supporting appropriate and healthy aquatic life. This is hard to do during a bloom. So what can you do? Reduce nutrient pollution at home. Use less fertilizer. Fertilizer contains a lot of nitrogen and phosphorus. And definitely use less during rainy season so it does not wash into our waterways. You can create native landscapes. Florida-friendly plants grow naturally in our subtropical climate without the use of fertilizers, pesticides, and mowing. There is a huge variety of colorful choices, and these attract native pollinators as well and are visually pleasing to the eye. Canopy trees and shrubs with large leafy surfaces can intercept rainwater before it hits the ground, keeping stormwater runoff out of our waterways. Also, planting is a fun activity that you can do with your family. You can use a rain barrel to capture clean water for irrigation and prevent stormwater runoff. Get a professional to inspect your septic system, maintain and repair if need be, because failing septics are often leaching nutrients into our waterways that the harmful algal blooms will feed off of. Pick up your pet's waste and dispose of it in a container so it does not wash nutrients or bacteria into nearby swales, canals, or stormwater drains. The Cheneth vision for hydrological restoration is the appropriate freshwater flow across the landscape to sustain healthy wetlands, rivers, and estuaries. So what can you do? Again, native landscapes are really helpful for hydrological restoration. You can also create a rain garden. A rain garden is a shallow planted area that collects rainfall from your yard so it can quickly soak into the ground and be used by plants. You can also replace impervious surfaces, for example concrete that does not allow water to pass through, with pervious surfaces that allow rainwater to recharge our groundwater. Where natural landscapes are hardened by impervious surfaces like rooftops, driveways, and roads, rainwater can run off landscapes. It can also carry debris, sediments, fertilizer, and pet waste into waterways, causing nutrient and bacterial pollution that harmful algal blooms love. Pervious surfaces, like the ones below, are an attractive, effective, low-cost solution for stormwater and water quality management. They can increase property value and are a beautiful way to say, I care about our bay. The Cheneth vision for fish, wildlife, and habitat protection is a diverse environment of interconnected, healthy habitats that support natural processes and viable and resilient native plant and animal communities. To help restore aquatic and natural habitat, you can have green infrastructure around your house. So native landscapes attract wildlife and keep excess nutrients out of the waterways that are home to many aquatic species. You can also volunteer to help create habitats that naturally remove nutrient pollution and provide other valuable ecosystem services, such as nutrient removal benefits. These include oyster reefs, mangroves, and seagrasses. CHNEP is working with volunteers and partners all through Southwest Florida to restore our estuaries, planting seagrasses and oysters, conducting water quality monitoring, and other projects to bring them back to ecological health. The CHNEP vision for public engagement is an informed, engaged public making choices and taking actions that increase the protection and restoration of estuaries and watersheds. Monthly volunteer events, such as trash pickups at parks, horseshoe crab, and water quality monitoring are just some of the things that we do. These are currently on hiatus due to COVID-19, but we will resume them again once it's safe. We also do outreach events, such as tables at festivals and throughout the CHNEP area, including the Arcadia Rodeo. You can go to our calendar on our website to see when these events occur. We couldn't do any of this without our volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, please go to chnep.org/getinvolved to sign up. Other ways that you can help in your community are by expressing support for policies that promote water conservation and improved water quality. Encourage others to practice water conservation methods, participate in coastal cleanups in your area. Here's a list of public education websites and fact sheets that were used to help put this presentation together and that you can refer to in the future. To learn more, go to chnep.org and remember to like us on Facebook. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope everybody stays safe and healthy during this time.